I'm Don Binnicker, CEO of CASA of Tarrant County, and I want to spend a few minutes talking about what we've seen with community-based care in our area. We had to have, one of the most important things I think we had to have with this change was we had to have open communication between Child Protective Services and our community, our kids, as this placement took place, as this change took place. So we were able to have some cross-training sessions that brought OCOK staff over to the CPS facilities, and we kind of cross-trained and talked about the concerns and the needs and the things that we thought we were going to have to deal with. And I'm sure that those of you that are listening this will be very important for you, because that relationship needs to begin from the beginning. It needs to be a strong relationship where there is open communication, where you guys can talk about your concern. I believe the relationship with our placing agencies is good. And I think a relationship with a contractor is very critical, that we can pick up the phone, we can go sit in their office, and we can talk about our concerns. So overall, I think the relationships we have become very strong. We were able to get our children placed quicker. It appeared that we were able to get them out of the offices, and one of the big goals was to keep sibling groups together, and that was a primary focus of this change. With placements that we were able to lock in for Tarrant County, we were able to place a lot more children together and keep them from being separated, so that was very critical. Also, we saw our community, our kids, as kind of the overseer of not only what CPS was supposed to be doing, but what the foster parents were supposed to be doing, what the child placing agencies were supposed to be doing, and they were able to have more control of that. Another advantage that came with that was the community placements, the foster placements that we had in Tarrant County. Many of those placement openings were filled by children that were coming in from counties outside of our catchment area. So it made it difficult when a child was removed in Tarrant County to place our own kids in our own community. Once the community-based care, foster care redesign came about, we were able to open those spots and save those for Tarrant County children. So that was a great benefit for us here in Tarrant County. The things that happened initially going in is the relationship with the placing agencies and CPS has to be at a point to where they can have open communication. So when you're trying to fill out the children's plan of services and all the reporting that needs to be done, that line has to be open and there has to be some direct contact. We did get a little resistance from some of the foster parents, and we tried to address that directly with them. At times that did not happen, so we'd have to go to the child placing agency, and then if we didn't get a response from them, we would go to the contractor to say, hey, this is something that needs to be worked out. These forms have to be filled out, they have to be presented to the court, and so this has to be done. Some foster parents were limiting contacts, allowing CPS and our CASA workers to go into the homes and visit with the children, so it was very restrictive in some points. So those are things that we'll have to work out, and those plans need to be talked about and discussed at the beginning as they take over those placements. So that is a very important part of that. We also saw there were a few occasions where siblings did not get placed together initially, and had it not been for the CASAs following up on that, those children would have continued to be in separated placements, and CASA had to push to get those placements moved. There was a little bit of resistance. We were able to work through some of those we weren't. So you may see that on occasion, and so that is another thing that you will have to look at. Another issue that we talked about was transportation, and it seems we have many foster parents that just blatantly say, I'm not going to transport. So any visits that happen with parents, any visits that happen with therapists, or any special things they have to go to, if the foster parents aren't going to transport, who is that backup plan? Who's going to be doing that? Is it going to be CPS or someone else? So I think that's something that needs to be addressed early on as you're working with them. A couple of issues we had with residential treatment centers. Some of the RTCs believe that, if the kids are doing well, they want to keep them there, so there's a resistance to get them out of there and send them back to a foster home, and that's something that the CASAs will have to address, and they have to push that. And sometimes you'll have to go over their heads to get everybody involved to say, hey, this child needs to be moved out if they're working well. In Tarrant County, we have the fortunate advantage that we're involved in the Collaborative Family Engagement Program. And that has been critical from day one, that we had open relationships, because we believe that children belong to the parents, And we need to make every effort to get those children to either return to the parents if you can, and if you can't, let's try to find family, whether that's grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, whoever, to keep those family connections open to the children. So we want to work on that. If collaborative family engagement is not in your area, that certainly is something that you want to look at very strongly to make sure that that is happening in your area, because there are so many options with collaborative family engagement. And I think if we work through these cases, we can get these kids out of foster care and into family, and at least if they can't be placed there, they can have open connection. We have to recognize that when the kids are brought into care, there's trauma involved with that removal. And that is something we're trying to address through TBRI. In our community, we have a lot of trauma-based trainings that are going on, and we want foster parents to be trained about trauma. We want the child placing agencies to be trained about trauma. I would be happy to talk with anyone. If you would like to contact me directly, I'll be happy to visit with you about that. If you have more questions and want to talk to me more in detail. But overall, I'm very pleased with the move they made with community-based care. And as we move into the next stage, we're looking at the conservatorship pieces that we will be beginning shortly. So stay tuned and we'll let you know how that works out for us.